Any sign of Kai?
Charlie, it's just like my old football coach, my old college football coach, used to tell me that a good defense is a good gun tower. I told you all about my illustrious college football career, right?
No, you haven't. What position did you play, Griffin?
Power forward. And I
forward.
played for the Hokies. Is that one?
I don't believe so.
The Oklahoma Hokies.
Hokies.
This is Defense Grid 2, the second Defense Grid game. And as you can see, I'm not wasting any time. I'm just going to start throwing towers down. Because these creeps are coming, and they're not going to kill themselves. You know what I mean?
Oh man, look what are these enemies? Like, are these little alien boogers?
They're
or
little
these...
aliens. Yeah, they're aliens all day. And the way that you dispatch them, and this is so novel, you put towers down and you
Get out.
You defend your shits with them. The Defense Grid 2 is like a very super traditional tower defense game, but it takes the genre. It sort of elevates a lot of the ideas and mechanics of the genre. It's not this. The very structure of the thing isn't so revolutionary, but it sort of polishes and takes a lot of the ideas that other tower defense games have had, and presents it in a very straightforward package. Like, I don't know, to me this feels a lot like classic like desktop tower defense, like put down your stuff, shoot things as they come through it. What this game places a huge emphasis on, and it's something I love, and it's something that a lot of games that have tried to put a twist on the genre have kind of lost, is the idea of creating paths, of having to figure out how to create the most maze-like structures to get them caught up, because the longer they spend close to your towers, the more damage you're going to be able to do.
Well, it looks to me like you've actually blocked off one entire avenue of approach here at the center of the map.
So a lot of Defense Grid 2's maps aren't just like a big... It's not just like a big square, and then you have to create a maze inside of that square. A lot of it has architecture to it, and you can try and determine which way you want to sort of control the flow between these different battlefields, right? So I could have blocked off that left path, and then automatically the creeps would have moved down the right path. That's actually what I tried. This is my second attempt at this level. I tried that, but then you're losing that middle platform, because then the creeps aren't going to go there, because they're going towards that blue spire there on the left side of the screen.
Okay.
And so you can't block the path completely, because that's cheating. Whenever you see a little red X on the ground, that's telling me that you can't put it there, because then you are literally giving them no avenue to go through.
The rules of war, as it were.
Exactly. So I've tried to figure out the best way to get them going. You can see I got resources at the top left. That goes up after I complete certain waves, and it goes up just with time also. So yeah, I've created to the best of my ability this maze out of towers, and I'm using, so far I've just been building pretty standard gun towers, pretty cheap, very, very cheap to upgrade to. You can see that yellow one's already at level 2. Defense Grid 2 also has a concept called boost towers, which are really cool. They are the cheapest unit to build. There's something like 50 resource to build them, but then you can place towers on top of them, and any gun or any tower built on top of a boost tower will have access to certain benefits. Like, you can upgrade it to make it stronger. You can upgrade it to zap enemies who are stealthed. So it sort of augments what the tower built on top of it does. Another cool thing that the boost towers do is that they are literally little gun booster seats, because your guns won't shoot through each other. If you watch, it would be too complicated for me to highlight exactly when it's happening, but if you look at a tower that's behind another tower, it won't just shoot through it. It'll sort of turn its head to like get a clear shot at another enemy. So you can interrupt the rate of fire unless you boost them up with a boost tower, and then they'll be able to shoot over it. So you can augment the line of sight of certain towers, which is a really, really cool concept. I found myself losing a lot in like the early stages of the game, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized it's because I was building these, 3x3 grids of guns, and then like that one in the middle is just not going to shoot ever because
I couldn't get that weight of fire without the different tiers.
Exactly. So it turns into a very physical process, which I really dig. So for instance, here you're going to see me build a tower. There's only a couple places on this one platform where I can place it without blocking the flow because they're going to move down and left. So I can place that tower, and then I can put a boost tower behind that tower, and then a tower on that boost tower. So now I basically have bleachers for my automated weaponry. So
As do the Hokies.
Right, just like a Hokies football game. It's really taking me back. There I just used, you have what's called a commander power. So at the beginning of each match, you can choose different loadouts for each of the towers that you have access to. You'll earn those as you play. You'll earn little augments. So for instance, right now, I have a tower called the Inferno Tower. I've got it there close to the center of that top left platform that just sort of sprays fire. I think that's the only one I've got augmented right now, but after I recorded this, I did unlock some more. But you slot those into your weapons before you start, and you can change certain things about them. So that Inferno Tower is more powerful, but it sprays that fire out in a much more narrow cone. So it's sort of a trade-off, and you have to decide how you want to kit yourself out. You also get to choose a commander power. So I've gotten a few of those. One is like an orbital laser, which is pretty sweet, but I didn't have access to it in this mission. And then this one gives me extra resources every 5 minutes or so. So this guy's going to go for my cores.
Oh.
Didn't get there.
So tell me a little more about the different enemy types that you're looking at here. I see we got some, like, here's that your favorite word again, quadrupedal units moving through.
Oh, boy.
Little four-legged dudes.
You put so much English on that word. I love it. So the units are, you have some of your standard tower defense stuff. You got the heavy boss-like units, and there are certain towers, like the cannon tower, that's better at taking those out. Cannon tower just fires a single shot every couple seconds or so. It's really slow and really bad at taking out groups, but it can deal a lot of damage to one unit very quickly. So these quadrupedal tanks are pretty rough. Then you have shielded units, and your guns are going to do almost nothing to those. But there are certain weapons that are incredibly effective against shielded units, like the Tesla Tower. So you got to make sure to use these. These units are stealth, which means they will only be shot by towers that they are right up next against, unless you use one of those boost towers. There's an augment you can put on that called like a disruptor or something like that. And then if a stealth unit moves by the disruptor, they will be visible for a while. And then basically all the guns can fire off at it at the same time. My favorite thing about this level that I am playing is that tower you see spinning there in the very middle is called a concussion tower, and it's one I just unlocked for this mission. And you can see it basically turns it into like a sweet little fireworks show there in the center. That does like extremely high damage to a group of people who are right next to the tower. So it can deal a lot of burst damage to a lot of people really quickly, but once they get across that bridge, basically they are home free. It's also the most expensive tower I've got by far, both to build and upgrade. But I quickly sort of fell in love with it, mostly because of the pyrotechnics display.
It looks rad, man.
As you watch the rest of this fight, I actually fill that square with those concussion towers, and it's so radical. It's like closing time at Disney World every few seconds or so. So these purple bars, there is a unit that will heal all of the other units around it over time. Basically making them invincible until you get shots off on that one unit. So it basically requires you to have that effect, though, is suspended while that unit's taking damage. So if you don't have like group fire, or if you don't get lucky and have your guns and cannons attack that one healer unit, then you're just not going to be able to take the other stuff down.
Now, are there any of your towers where you have like direct control over where they fire and what they hit, or are they all kind of like?
No. All the towers are automated, but you do have that commander tower, or the commander power.
Okay.
That you can drop when you really need some extra something.
Gotcha.
Those boost towers, you can actually turn on and off the different boosts that you put on them. Is he going to get one? Yeah, okay, so nope, I just won't let it happen. So in order for them to start, you can see the cores I have there listed under my resources. Enemies will grab those cores and then try and take them back out of the level. Which you might think is impossible, but the waves don't wait to like start coming. So if you let 4 or 5 monsters get through, grab your cores and then start making their way back, your guns are going to be so preoccupied with the wave that's coming into the level that they are just not going to be very effective at taking out the ones that have already gotten through the level. So that is like a last-ditch effort. You really don't even want to let them get to the cores, because then it's going to be really tough to kill them if another big wave like that comes through. So, yeah, there's a lot of really interesting ways that you can augment the game, too. Before you start the match, you can play it in standard story mode, which is what I'm doing right now. But there's no kidding. There's like a dozen different augments for each level. So, like, you could do one level where you have... I could do this level, but with a different rule set where, for instance, I have a set number of resources that just doesn't go up. I just have that many resources.
Okay.
And then I have to spend it wisely. There's a really cool augment where towers will only work if you are hovering your cursor over them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so there's no power going to any of your towers, so you have to like constantly be moving your cursor around to kill stuff, but you can also injure enemies by hovering over them with the cursor. Yeah, it's a really weird mode that I have not been especially successful at. So here I've got a ton of resources, so I'm going to drop that second concussion tower and try and boost it up before the enemies get there. It takes a while for new structures to be built and for your structures to be upgraded, and each structure really is like invaluable. So if you build it at the wrong time, you're going to let a wave of enemies through. And it's going to be that much harder for your later guns in the path to kill it. Another great thing you can see popping up from time to time, and this is like a really incredible strategic tool that I'm surprised I haven't seen in more tower defense games like this, but you can see an actual heat map of your damage distribution.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, there's like you're like toggling it on and off, and it lets you really kind of see where you're doing the most damage.
Yeah, it's really, really sweet. So eventually I have 4 concussion towers there in the center, and that middle square is just oh man, it's just the worst place for them. But yeah, it's a really cool thing. You can also hold in the heat map button while you're scrolling over a single tower, and then it will show you the heat map of just that one specific tower.
What great feedback. Usually you're playing these kinds of tower defense games, and I spent a lot of time with the tower defense games on like 360 and stuff like that from Toy Box Studios. Yeah. But you don't really know what's happening. You're just seeing the waves and waves of the enemies coming through, and either they get through or they don't.
Yeah.
But the way this gives you that feedback is really nice.
Look at that. Look at that center, that Flaming Lips concert I have going on in the middle. So unfortunately, I'm not doing a lot of damage to these guys because they are being healed by another unit. I'm not sure where that unit is. You can scroll way into the map, which is pretty cool because each of the towers and each of the enemies has a lot of detail to them, and I just like looking at the death gauntlet that I've created.
It's amazing. I love how you're able to change the speed up there too and really move things along.
Yeah, but again, like, you have to be careful because there's no way, you don't have any control over when the waves come and go.
Right.
So they're just going to keep coming, and if you goose it and you have like a ton of resources that you haven't built, like upgrading and building stuff while there's enemies on the map is just not a great idea unless it's like you're way down far on the path. Here,
bad life choices.
Yeah, I just swapped out that one laser tower for a Tesla tower because I think I was having some trouble with shielded enemies. Oh, there's also some enemies that move very, very quickly through a straightaway, but when they have to turn, they slow to like a grinding halt. So you can use that against them by building mazes where they specifically have to make a bunch of turns before they can get through.
So do they have like a multiplayer mode in this game as well?
There is. Oh, there's that heat map. There is a multiplayer mode. You can play with 2 players, as far as I know. I haven't used it yet, but we did a preview a little while ago that talked about it. Like, you get different pools of resources for each player, so you have to sort of work together to make sure that you're pathing correctly, that you're not blocking off the wrong paths. Like, you can really screw yourself over by blocking off the wrong path and then giving them a much shorter route to the finish line. Because it's what I like most about this game is that you have to make sure that they are spending as much time as possible around your guns, or else like you are going to lose guaranteed. It doesn't matter like how quick you are and how like strategic you can be with like what guns you should build. If you don't get the path right, then you're screwed. There in that last little chunk before the cores, I didn't even realize I was screwing up. Because they were just going a straight shot through that, bottom part of the platform, and so I blocked that off, and then all of a sudden they have to move something like 5 or 6 more squares further to get to the end, and that might just be all I need to get off that one last shot. So there, these guys got some of these cores. That guy makes it relatively far with one, but is unsuccessful. So yeah, this is Defense Grid 2. There's a lot of meat. I was turned off a little bit at first because it is so traditional, but there's a lot of meat on the bones here, and a lot of really clever ideas and a lot of customization options with the different loadouts that you can do with all the towers in the game. So
it definitely just looks like one of those experiences where you turn it on and 3 hours later you kind of pull your head up and you're like, whoa.
You're not kidding. I was capturing to do this video, and I was like, I'll just capture a match, and then it was like, it really was. It was like 2 hours went by. And I was like, well, shit. Okay. So if you want to watch the hours of your life slip away like so many grains of sand, Defense Grid 2 is your jam.